What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again, and this is your news show. I mean, we're now into June, John, the last month of the season, technically, albeit everything's done. Players' contracts are winding down. There's 28 days left. Players can negotiate deals, blah. Where's your head at? How are you feeling? What's cooking on gas?
It's a bit of a strange transfer window, this, because it opens on the 1st to the 10th, and then it shuts for 6 days, and then opens again on the 16th. So Liverpool are chasing players. We've been linked with a few players. We've got players who are linked with moves away. So I think things are ramping up now, whether it be the first window of the window or the second window of the transfer window. It is a bit strange. It's all to do with this World Club Cup shite thing, whatever it is. But listen, you're all going to see big money moves, I think, in the first 10 days. I think there is going to be movement. Hopefully, we will see more incomings than outgoings. Obviously, we've got players out of contract. We're still waiting on some news regarding the likes of Michael Keane, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Apparently, Idrissa Gana Guy's agreed his deal. That just needs to be announced. Charlie Alcaraz is signed for permanent now. I expect a video Tuesday or Wednesday with him doing his first interview as a full-time Everton player. Yeah. So it is exciting. And as you said earlier on, we are going to be banging out more videos out now. So make sure you stay tuned for probably 5-6 videos at a push a week. We don't have any games now. So it is predominantly transfer news, and we will bring it here to you first.
There you go. That's the end of the video. Finished, everyone. See you later. Yeah, I sort of echo what you say. I don't know whether the first 10 days are actually going to be that busy. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be more busy for the clubs who are in the Club World Cup, and I think that's the whole reasoning behind the 1st to the 10th. Yeah, and look, Everton have been linked with players from those teams. I mean, you know. We know that there's players that potentially could be coming to Everton. We've been linked with several names, weird names, good names, bad names. You know, we spoke about Jack Grealish 4 or 5 days ago. That seems to have gone quiet. Today, there's been some apparently serious interest in Liverpool winger Ben Doak. The transfer windows for me, right, until you get to that sort of nitty-gritty bit, you know, that couple of weeks in August, and you sort of, the season's come in, and you know what you've got or you haven't got, and you go into that first game and you're like, right, I think we needed more, I think we needed this. For the last few years, Everton have been like that. They haven't done business early. They haven't, in my opinion, been particularly sensible. And I get why, by the way. I'm not sitting here saying Kevin Falwell did a bad job, because in hindsight, I actually think he did a semi-decent job, actually, certainly on some signings. But when you look at the players we're being linked with, I do feel like they're a slight step up from the previous years. Do you get what I mean? I feel like we're going in a different direction all of a sudden, John.
I think the reason for that, you probably agree with this. I think the reason why Everton haven't done their business early, and some of the players we've been linked with and some of the players we've brought in recent years, is down predominantly to the PSR restrictions that we were under. Now, I think it's well publicised that up until the 31st of June, Everton are still stranded a bit with certain PSR figures and stuff. Then from the 1st of July, it goes into a new financial year, and I think that's when you will start to see things ramping up. It's good that Everton do want to get their business done early. David Moyes has come out and he said that we're not used to that, so we need to get these players in early. And I've said it on here before, Michael, a week, 2 weeks ago, to come into pre-season and hit the ground running, because I think, you know, we can all agree it's going to be a much changed Everton team going into Bramley Moore next season, going into the first game of the season. You mentioned player there we've been linked with, Ben Doak. Apparently he's done really well at Middlesbrough. From all accounts, he's a decent player. Do I think Everton pay £30 million for him? Not a chance. To be fair, I think towards the end of the season, I think he had an injury at Middlesbrough as well. So Everton have got to look at that. The players we are linked with are a step up. You mentioned Jack Grealish, that has gone quiet yet, but we were linked with him. Whether that's, I think a lot of it is lazy journalism. In the early days of the transfer window, they're looking to put anything out there. I mean, we've been linked with Mitrovic today. Now, I like Mitrovic at Fulham. You know, he's that little shit that you want. He'll put himself about. He'll get in the faces of the opposition, and he doesn't take no prisoners, Mitrovic. Now, he went to Saudi, and they're looking either for a loan deal, by all accounts, or for 40 million quid. Man United are linked with him. I don't see Everton paying 40 million pound for Mitrovic. If we could get him at a lower fee or a loan, I think it'd be really, really good business from Everton. I think I've seen a stat today. I think I sent you it. Can't remember it now. Was it 30 goals in 42 games or something since he's been in Saudi? Something like that. Yeah, listen, it's an easier league. But Mitrovic strikes me as the sort of player, wherever he plays, whatever the team he plays for, I think he will get you goals. And Mitrovic coming into Everton, in my opinion, would be an upgrade on Calvert-Lewin, an upgrade on Beto, even though he's done well since Moyes come in. I think Moyes is getting more out of Beto. And I think he's an upgrade on Chimiti. So I'd like to see a Mitrovic in the Everton team. Going back to Ben Doak, listen, I think it's well publicised again. Everton are going to concentrate on the right-hand side more than anywhere. Fullback, right winger, that's where Ben Doak plays. But I don't think Everton pay 30 million quid for him.
No, and you know that I've got quite a lot of Liverpool fans as friends. Unfortunately, you know they're great people, but they all have this affliction, and you know who I'm talking about. All of you knobheads. But realistically, for me, with a player like Ben Doak, it is taking that gamble. Now, I'm not concerned about gambles. You know, I never have been. I was never concerned about Adam Lutman when we bought him, or Moise Keane when we bought him, because, you know, these younger players, it's very rare you absolutely lose shed loads of money on these players. I mean, Adam Lutman, I think we actually made money. And Moise Keane, I think we might have lost a couple of million quid. But all in all, it wasn't the end of the world. You know, it was a gamble that didn't pay off. For me, with a player like Ben Doak, he's not proved it at top level football. Now, I'm not taking away what he's done at Middlesbrough. 3 goals, 7 assists in 24 games. I'm not taking away from it. He's very highly thought of. He's 19 years old. He's not a Liverpool, you know, graduate in any sort of sense. He's in the Liverpool academy, but he's a Scottish lad. It's, you know, you don't cut him open and he bleeds Liverpool. You cut him open and he bleeds football. So that's why I'm probably okay with this. But you are absolutely bang on the money with what you've just said. I don't think we should be signing an unproven top flight 19-year-old for 30 million pound. If you was to say to me 15 million with 15 million and say performance bonuses, and those bonuses are, you know, he signs a 6-year or 5-year deal, he helps Everton get into Europe, so Liverpool get an extra couple of million, whatever, then I'm okay with it. But if you're telling me that Everton are just going to go 30 million, no chance, not for me, that.
And the thing is as well, you mentioned his age, and, you know, he's unproven in the Premier League, but it's also the injury he's just got over. You know, I don't think he's played much towards the end of the season, if I'm right, I'm saying that. So you're looking at a player who's 19, unproven in the Premier League, has got a bit of an injury record, and for the situation Everton are in, and for the amount of players we need to bring in, I don't think Everton just go out and spend £30 million on someone like a Ben Doak. You're spot on with what you say. If we could get him for 15 million, that then becomes the model that Everton Football Club and the Freakins will go down, as in a young player. If he can come in and he can prove himself, and we get him for 15, take it up to 20 million with add-ons, and he can get us into Europe, then them sort of players have a sell-on fee, because he's coming in at 19. Now, I know people in the comments are going to go, but then he's using Everton as a stepping stone and was selling a good player again. Listen, for the situation Everton are in, and yet we want Everton to win everything. We want Everton to push on massively going into Bramley-Moore. We want Everton to make people stand up and let us be noticed again. But there's no one can tell me when you're signing young players like that, if they do really well for us, then other teams won't go in for them. And I know we're going to hit on the likes of Jarrett Branthwaite. That's a perfect example. For the majority of the teams in the Premier League, a lot of young players use them clubs as a stepping stone. And I'm not saying they use them as in they go there, yeah, I'll get a move from here in a couple of years. But for the position Everton are in, when we're bringing young players in, I think that's what Everton will become. If we don't start challenging for things, that's what we will become. He could come in and we could sign other young players, and these players could propel us up the league. Then you've got the other question. Well, they won't use us as a stepping stone, and they haven't got to, because now Everton are pushing for European places and we're challenging for cups. So it's a catch-22 situation. We bring young players in. Years gone by, we've seen what's happened with young players who have come to Everton and the odd graduate that we've brought through. Everton have become a stepping stone for them. We need to stop that. And the only way we stop that is by progression and moving up the league and challenging for European places and getting to cup finals and winning cup finals. That's the only way. Then you keep the young players then, because they become accustomed to, I want to be here. We're going places. Why would I move? I hope that's where Branthwaite's head will be if it starts to get turned by any of these clubs linked with him.
Yeah. I think you're spot on with Branthwaite. I just wanted to come back on that Ben Doak situation. So Ben Doak has had 2 fairly serious injuries in the last 2 years. He had a meniscus tear, which pretty much rolled him out of 41 games in the 2023 to 2024 season. And he's had a hamstring injury, which, I mean, sounds like Calvert-Lewin, doesn't it? Which he's been out for 121 days, which is essentially 4 months. He's been out 4 months. He missed 17 games for Middlesbrough.
Yeah, £30 million, a lot of money.
It is, especially when one of his top qualities is pace. So this is where I think Everton have got to be sensible. You never want to write off a young kid. So, I'd never do that. But you also need to look at these people. Unfortunately, you have to look at them as assets, because they're a commodity, because they have a value on their heads. It's not right, in my opinion. I don't agree with that. But
that's what football is now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If you said to me a player's been out over 300 days in the last 720, I'd have major concerns about throwing £30 million at any player who's got that sort of injury record. So, yeah, for me, £30 million is far too much.
Especially for the situation we're in. And this is what I said before. You're looking at a player for 30 million quid who's missed a lot of football at the age of 19 years of age. So I think we can spend £30 million better. I think we can go and find another winger who's missed even half the games and half the minutes that Ben Doak's missed for 30 million quid. I think Everton have got to be very, very cagey with if they do spunking £30 million on a player. Unfortunately, as you quite right, you say, the young player just wants to play football. Then we've got to be very wary of putting £30 million down on a player like that.
Yeah. We've also been linked with John Stones today.
And yesterday, and the day before.
I don't know where my head's at with John Stones, if I'm being honest.
So, my head is, again, his injury record the last couple of years hasn't been great. Yeah. And I will say on here now, a fit John Stones is possibly the best centre-half Man City have got.
Yeah.
Right. They are willing to let John Stones go. So they know something that a lot of people probably don't know, which is he's always going to be hampered with injury from now on. He's going to be on big, big wages. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. I really can't. John Stones will only be brought in, I think, if Jarrett Branthwaite goes. But then you're forgetting, if we bring him right back in, we've got Jake O'Brien to slot into the middle with the likes of Tarkowski anyway. So I just think, again, for me, Everton need to... I don't see the sense in a John Stones move, because we've just spoke about Ben Doak, who's 19. I don't see the sense in bringing a John Stones in who is 30 plus. Am I right in saying?
Yeah.
Who's had a bad injury record the last couple of years, who's not going to come on shitty wages. So again, I think we've got to be careful with a fit John Stones. Mate, walks into the Everton team. A fit John Stones walked into a lot of teams, but again, it's the injury record, and I just don't want Everton to go down this road again of bringing players in, the likes of Ben Doak, the likes of John Stones, whose injury record for the last couple of years hasn't been great, when we've got 13, 14, 15 players to potentially replace. Because then you're replacing them with two players, if we do bring them in, whose injury record isn't great the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at John Stones' injury record now. So this is this season, just this season. Hamstring injury, 94 days. Foot injury, 30 days. Foot injury, 22 days. Unknown injury, 18 days. So that is
160 days.
Yeah, give or take. Give or take, it's close enough. Last season wasn't too bad. I say not too bad. He missed 12 games for Manchester City, but with the volume of games they have, it's always going to be loud. It's always going to be bad. In terms of the year before, 60 days with hamstring injuries.
Yeah.
Before that, it's all right, to be honest, but the last 3 years have clearly had some form of effect on him.
We can't sign a player on the strength of 4 years ago he was sound, in the last 3 years he's been sick note.
Yeah. Right. We have been linked with one other player today, which surprised me a little bit. So you mentioned Mitrovic at the start, and I didn't really talk about that. Mitrovic, for me, the Saudi thing worries me. Because
I know what you're going to say. Well, I've got an idea what you're going to say here, but go on.
Well, I think you sort of touched on it. The standard is so poor. I genuinely think Mitrovic could. I genuinely think the Championship is probably more competitive than the Saudi League. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying there's not big name players in that league. There is some huge footballing names in that league, and some of them aren't very old. I mean, Mitrovic, some of these players go there young. John Duran is there, he's 22 years old. Some of these names are big, big names and get paid a lot of money. But there's not hundreds of, there isn't 25 of these global mega stars in each team. There's literally like 3 or 4. So the league overall, apart from the odd player who is brilliant, is substandard Championship level. If not worse, by the way. I mean, I might be digging out the Championship there. So the point I'm making is, if he was that good in the Premier League, which he was that good in the Championship, that good in the Premier League, why is he not scoring 42 goals in 42 games, sort of thing? That's the point I'm making. Are we getting a Mitrovic now that is comfortable playing at a lower level on lots of money? Do you get what I mean?
So I want to add to that. And listen, this isn't a dig at Mitrovic, because he could come over and propel Everton to a European place. But my feeling on it is when you've gone over there and you've played at that standard, and listen, the standard isn't great. And the reason why the players have gone there that you mentioned is for that. That's all it is. It's for that. John's around 22. Why else would he go there? Why else? Yeah. But another thing that worries me, when you're signing a player who's played in the Premier League and then he's gone to Saudi and he's earned all that money, and then you're going to bring him back to the Premier League, do they still have the hunger? Do they still have the fight? Because they've made that much money, they're not asked. And people might go, well, he's coming back to the biggest league in the world. So what? Coming back to the biggest league in the world and will probably have more money in his bank since he's been in Saudi than all the Everton players have earned put together last season. So you've got to have the hunger to play in the Premier League, and you've got to have the fight. And what worries me, when you come from that league, which is a less standard, it worries me that he's going to have to take a pay cut. Let's be honest about it. He will have to take a pay cut to come to Everton. Wherever he goes, he's going to have to take a pay cut. I think that's, goes without saying. But I just think when you come from that league, if you need a goal scorer, do you get a Mitrovic that played at Fulham? I don't know. I don't know whether you get the hungry Mitrovic that we've seen in the Premier League before. That I have my doubts on that.
He's also been linked to Man United, and apparently he's prepared to take a pay cut, and he's going to cost £40 million. He's 30.
How old is Mitrovic?
30.
Personally, I wouldn't be spending £40 million on a player who may not have the hunger for the Premier League anymore, who's earned all that money. I keep banging on about that, but £40 million for a 30-year-old, and again, that then takes away the freaking model that they're trying to build at Everton. Whereas we're looking at players to have a sell-on fee for them. So I don't think the freaking group goes down the road of a Mitrovic, possibly on loan if we can get him on loan, but I wouldn't be spending £40 million on him.
Yeah. Last thing, we spoke about Branthwaite, and Everton, by all accounts, are telling anyone that approaches Everton that he's not for sale. Branthwaite is apparently keen to stay, as in, he's happy at Everton. He likes the project. Everton are looking to offer him a new deal. What does that look like?
Well, I think for me, if the Freakins want to get the Everton fans on side, and I think if the Freakins want to make Everton fans look at them and go, these mean business, these know how to run a football club, these know what Everton fans want, these know what this club needs. If they can come in and if they can rebuff every offer that's made to Branthwaite up until the 31st of June, then they will go up in every Everton fan's estimations. I think what Everton need to do now, I remember Jared Branthwaite coming in, I think it was £1 million we signed him for, and the contract he was on, he had a breakthrough season. As soon as he had that breakthrough season, Everton give him another contract with a pay rise.
Yeah.
The season he's just had now, if the vultures are circling, Everton now need to sit down with Jared Branthwaite and his advisors, offer him another contract and put a buyout clause in. And I know you don't like buyout clauses, but when you've got a talent like Jared Branthwaite, a young talent like Jared Branthwaite, who has got the world at his feet, who, in my opinion, should be playing for England before half the defenders that are there, who, in my opinion, will be a future Everton captain. You offer him a new contract, you look after him, you make him one of your highest paid players at the club, you do your best to keep him at the club, and you put a buyout clause in for £200 million, and you don't sell him for a penny less.
Yeah, that's where buyout clauses do work, in my opinion, because it basically says we don't need to sell him.
We haven't got to sell yet.
There's a couple of things that I think we need to mention, and I don't think you've seen this because we've been recording this video while I've just seen it. So Fabrizio Romano has just come out. 20 minutes ago. Everton were prepared to pay silly money and make Liam Delap the face of the project, but he chose Chelsea. Now, the reason why I'm going to highlight that is, although we haven't signed Liam Delap, it shows ambition. If they're prepared to go up against Champions League or whatever Chelsea won in the end, Europa League. If they're prepared to go up against teams that are going for the Champions League, going for Europe consistently, and try and out-muscle them wage-wise, I think that speaks absolute volumes about where this ownership model feels that they want to take Everton. That post, although we didn't sign Liam Delap, has put a big smile on my face, because it shows that there's some real intent there to go and get the next big thing. And if it costs you more money than it should, so be it. I like that.
The thing is, they need to show that intent with Jared Branthwaite now.
Yeah.
They need to show that intent with Jared Branthwaite. As you're quite right, we offered Liam Delap £120,000 a week, I think it was, £100,000 a week. He could have pushed Everton to the next level. He could have been part of the project, Liam Delap. I'll say it the other week, and I'll say it now. I've been more asked on missing out on players. What a will add. I think he's being badly advised. Awful by his advisors to go to Chelsea, where, in my opinion, and I know, if you have a run of 2 or 3 months at Chelsea, then you're benched. I think Liam Delap will possibly waste the next couple of years at Chelsea if he doesn't hit the ground running, because Chelsea don't take no prisoners. If you're not performing, you're gone. You're gone. And it wouldn't surprise me in 2 years, 3 years, if Everton are in for Liam Delap again.
Yeah. Last one, just while we're there. Everton were also linked with Matthew O'Reilly.
Good player.
Yeah, very good player. Again, £30 million sort of price tag. Young, he's 20, what is it? Actually, I don't actually think he's that young. Is he? He's like 23, 20, 24, 25?
If you're looking to spend 30 million, 24, yeah. If you're looking to spend £30 million, that's the sort of player you do it on. Not a player who's 19 and has missed a couple of 100 days through injury.
Fair enough. Last point. I know I've gone over this a few times, but last point. Brazil, Richarlison, Don Carlo Ancelotti hugging it out. It's nice to see that, and it the whole Everton connection, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, historical country in terms of football. And it's got 2 Everton sort of talisman, really, sitting there and dealing with each other. And it does make you think what could have been, doesn't it, if we'd have maybe managed to hold on to Carlo and didn't necessarily have the PSR issues. I mean, in hindsight, I don't think we would have held on to Carlo because of the issues we went through. Carlo is better than the problems we had. But it's always nice to see, because Richie's so fondly respected, isn't he? And Carlo isn't bad either.
Richie's probably took parcels in for him, because I know they were next door neighbours when they were both at Everton. They lived next door to each other. But yeah, it is good. And I think when you look at them 2 people, Carlo wasn't here that long, and we would have liked him to have been here longer. And the stuff that was going on around the football club was probably one of the reasons Ancelotti left us. But I still do think he got Everton. And, when you see videos and you see interviews now of him saying he's an Evertonian, he got Everton. Yeah. And I don't think I need to bang on about how much Richie got Everton. But again, in my opinion, and this will split opinions, social media tells you that. Move on from Richarlison. Just move on. Get over it. Don't bring him back, in my opinion. Just get over it and get on with it.
Fair. Right, we'll leave it there. Another 30-minute ramble of shit. that we've just put together for you
From
there.
Michael.
I am back in the UK, everyone. We had a couple of questions. Why still Goodison Park in the background? The season does not end until the 30th of June, people. And I am keeping Goodison Park in the background as long as we physically can. So she's not being changed anytime soon. You've got another 28 days of that, which probably means another 24 videos. So get used to it. Grin and bear it. Goodison Park is still our home until the 30th of June. And even then, I mean, who knows when we actually go into the new stadium at the minute, because there's all sorts of rumours flying around. So, look, we keep smiling. Up the toffees. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you see John on the street, remember, give him a slap. Apart from that, I am done. John, anything to say?
Just to add, when we do have Bramley Moor in the background, and we've got the name of the stadium on the picture, Michael will just be below the dick, because that's where he likes to be.
And John will be just over the hill, because that's where he will be.
Cheers, folks.